high above the swirling cosmic tapestry of twin suns. An unexpected destiny awaited. Ambassador Aria Lane, a human envoy sent to mend centuries of subtle discord, though few even knew of such tension in these far reaches of the galaxy, and fewer still anticipated the extraordinary events about to unfold. She had arrived at Crescent Station, an advanced outpost shaped like a slender bow carved from silver, to represent the United Human Federations at a summit that promised to forge new ties with the elusive Serisi race. The station floated gracefully in the gravity, well between two pale blue orbs of light, the twin suns that danced across the cosmos, their radiance illuminating every polished corridor in a gentle, sapphire glow. Aria's tasks were many, but none so important as bridging the unspoken gap between human and Serisi cultures, a subtle distance that had persisted for ages, yet rarely spoken aloud in official dialogues. Ever since humanity had ventured forth from its cradle on Earth, it had encountered countless worlds, forging alliances when possible, defending itself when necessary, and always harboring an unquenchable thirst for exploration. In the grand tapestry of interstellar history, the Serisi emerged as a mysterious species renowned for their advanced biotechnology and meditative practices. Their civilization held knowledge gleaned from ancient star maps, legends of cosmic guardians, and hidden spiritual bonds that defied conventional logic. They, like humans, valued progress and stability. Yet their means of achieving such goals often involved subtle energies and life forces that humanity scarcely understood. So it was with great anticipation, but also with guarded optimism, that Aria Lane had stepped aboard Crescent Station, her heart brimming with a mixture of hope and worry. On the station's observation deck, where reinforced glass arcs offered stunning panoramic views of the dual suns, Aria would first lay eyes on Jorel, the Serisi envoy. The moment felt strangely electric. Jorel possessed the lithe figure of his kind, elongated limbs and pale silver skin that shimmered with a faint iridescence. He walked with measured poise, carrying himself like one who had traversed countless star systems in thoughtful, deliberate steps. Aria noted that the Serisi did not simply move their bodies. They seemed to flow, as though each motion was part of a grand cosmic dance. When Jorel spoke, his tone was quiet and resonant, like a distant echo in an ancient canyon, carrying the weight of old knowledge. Their initial words were polite pleasantries, setting the stage for the official conference. The summit, scheduled in a rotunda of shimmering paneling at the station's heart, was intended to cement cooperation between their respective peoples, discussing trade routes, scientific ventures, and the exchange of cultural knowledge would be the foundation of their diplomatic foray. Yet, in the corridors that twisted around Crescent Station's interior, silent watchers planned something far darker, a betrayal that neither the humans nor the Serisi had foreseen. As Aria and Jorel conferred with their teams in the days leading to the official event, signs of hidden tension arose. Unusual power fluctuations plagued the station's AI systems at odd intervals, though the engineers could find no apparent cause. Reports of unauthorized docking procedures flickered into the station logs, only to vanish without a trace. A hush of unease settled over the delegates, a pervasive sense that something was off, even if no one could point a direct finger at the source. Meanwhile, Aria met Jorel each morning in the tranquil arboretum, the station's attempt at a lush garden amid the void. Here, pale blue ferns and luminescent blossoms perfumed the air with sweet fragrances, and water gently trickled through sculpted channels around the glimmering crystals. In these quiet hours, they found a rare space to speak as individuals, unveiling their hopes for unity and the lingering concerns of their respective peoples. Aria, on her second morning, ventured to ask Jorel about the Serisi's rumored spiritual practices, specifically referencing an ancient text that the human academies had only glimpsed in fragments. He smiled, though there was sadness in his expression, and explained that the Serisi believed in the cyclical nature of life forces, a cosmic melody that bound living things. "We have references," he said, his voice soft, to an origin that ties us to another race. But such knowledge has become myth. Our records incomplete, scattered across centuries of conflict and diaspora. Some say that a portion of our life force was never truly ours alone. We Serisi, and perhaps humanity, share a bond that was set in motion before our histories were even written. But we have only legends to guide us. We hope that this summit might rekindle knowledge long thought lost, though I cannot be certain how. Intrigued, Aria pressed him further. We humans have myths too, she replied. Stories about luminous beings descending from the sky, bestowing gifts upon us in eons past, guiding us to harness technologies beyond our comprehension. But these are often dismissed as allegories or as the fancies of ancient tribes, so rarely taken as literal fact in the modern day. Yet some who study the deeper cosmos have discovered faint traces of civilizations that may have influenced multiple species. Jorel nodded solemnly, the subtle silver patterns on his forehead glimmering under the lights. Perhaps all our myths hide a singular truth, he said, awaiting the right moment to be revealed. And perhaps it shall be revealed here, on Crescent Station, beneath the twin suns. As the official day of the summit arrived, the rotunda, vast and glistening, filled with representatives and dignitaries from both species. Long panels of crystalline materials displayed shifting holographic icons, enumerating agenda points, trade agreements, technological exchange, medical breakthroughs, and cultural programs. Aria and Jorel took their respective seats at opposite ends of a half-circle dais. A hush descended upon the crowd. The human chairperson, an austere woman named Dr. Penrose, welcomed all with solemn remarks. Then came the Serisi elder, dressed in the flowing vestments of his order, who spoke with words that resonated as if from a distant star. Yet, just as the formal dialogue began, the station's lights flickered ominously, casting flickers of shadow across the dais. Alarms sounded, short bursts echoing in the grand hall. Confused murmurs rippled through the delegates, some rising from their seats in panic. Station security officers rushed to secure the entrances. That was when a small, almost imperceptible hiss drifted through the air vents, followed by a faint shimmering mist that glowed with an unsettling green hue. In seconds, chaos erupted. Delegates coughed and clutched their throats, their eyes watering as though an invisible blade were slicing through their lungs. Aria felt her vision swim, the edges going dark. She glimpsed Jorel falling to one knee, silver skin dulling to a sickly gray, his breathing ragged. Terror seized her heart. The assassins had chosen their moment well. She tried to shield herself with her sleeve, but it did little to protect her from the lethal aerosol. Her vision blurred, and she collapsed to the polished floor, hearing only muffled screams and the dull drone of alarms. She sensed a chilling numbness creeping through her veins, as though her life were slipping away into the enveloping blackness. In that near-death haze, Aria vaguely felt movement near her. Then something warm pressed against her chest, opening her eyes to slits. She saw Jorel crouched over her, his expression etched with desperation. He closed his translucent eyelids, reciting something in a sibilant murmur, words that vibrated with raw power. Aria felt a surge of heat deep within her chest, an unearthly energy coursing into her bloodstream, revitalizing her cells. It was as if Jorel was transfusing her with a luminous stream from his very being, defying all known laws of biology. She gasped, her lungs burning painfully. Yet, at the same time, her consciousness clung to the spark of life he ignited within her. She heard a static-laced voice declare that an unknown toxin, lethal to both humans and Serisi, had been released, and medical teams were rushing to the scene. In the midst of the swirling mist, only Jorel's presence registered clearly to Aria. She felt her heart thunder in her ears, and all around them, chaos reigned. But this moment transcended the tumult. She realized Jorel was doing something that, by Serisi law and custom, might be forbidden. He was sharing his life force essence to save her. Then everything went black. Hours later, Aria awoke in the station's infirmary. The lights dimmed to a comforting glow. She felt surprisingly robust, her muscles abuzz with energy, her mind sharper than she remembered. Sitting up gingerly, She noticed the faint pulse of monitors on her forearm, reading out her vitals. The memory of choking on that vile toxin seized her, and she shuddered. A gentle beep from the doorway alerted her to an approaching figure. It was Jorel, now wearing a pale robe that draped gracefully around his shoulders. His countenance subdued. Their eyes met, the tension in the air unmistakable. Aria managed a feeble smile. "I have you to thank for my life," she said, her voice still weak but resonant with gratitude and wonder. Jorel's gaze flickered with apprehension. "You should rest," he replied softly. "We nearly lost you, and I have bent certain rules to keep you here." She tilted her head. Curiosity stirred. "You did something to me," she said. "I could sense your energy, as if your essence fused with mine." His lips parted in a slight frown, torn between caution and honesty. "Yes," he admitted. "We." Serisi rarely share such a profound life bond, especially not with an outsider. It is considered taboo, for it can bind the recipients in ways that neither fully understands. But there was no other choice. Aria Lane, you were dying, and so was I. I had the power to help, though it meant revealing a secret that my people have guarded for countless generations. Aria felt a strange, comforting warmth thrumming in her chest, as though her heartbeat now resonated with a hidden chord. "Then this bond," she ventured, "is it permanent?" Jorel paused, struggling with the gravity of his confession. "Yes," he answered. "In many ways, it is. My life force has merged with yours. We are linked, and with that comes potential side effects, though I cannot predict them entirely. When two Serisi bond in this manner, they share emotional states, can sense each other's presence, and sometimes even glean glimpses of memory or future possibility. What might happen between a human and a Serisi who share such a bond is uncharted territory." The magnitude of his words stole Aria's breath. She recalled the fleeting sense of cosmic unity that had enveloped her as she drifted on, the brink of death. A wave of humility and gratitude swept over her. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, "except thank you." They sat in silence, letting the hum of the medical equipment and the gentle hush of the station's ventilation fill the space. Then Jorel explained that the summit had been called off in the wake of the assassination attempt, and tensions rose among both humans and Serisi, many blaming each other, some suspecting an external enemy, while others whispered of conspiracies from within. A handful of delegates had been fatally struck by the toxin, but many had been saved by quick emergency measures. The conspirators, however, remained elusive. Not long after, station security discovered that the sabotage originated from a covert group with ties to both human and Serisi extremist factions. Their objective was unclear, but the few signs left behind pointed to an intent to sow chaos, unravel any chance of mutual cooperation, and potentially ignite war. Dark rumors circulated that they had ties to ancient heretical Serisi sects and rogue human splinter cells, all of whom believed that forging a union between the two species would invite doom rather than prosperity. Still weak from her ordeal, Aria was discharged under strict orders to rest, but the weight of unanswered questions pressed on her mind. She felt an inexplicable draw to explore the deeper layers of the station, particularly the labyrinthine archives of old records that span back to the station's earliest days. She confided in Jorel, who, now intricately bonded to her, agreed to assist, for he too felt the pull of something greater at work. Together, guided by intuition and the strangely synchronized rhythms of their new connection, they ventured into the sublevels of Crescent Station. In these quieter halls, bathed in the gentle azure glow from the twin suns beyond the reinforced walls, they found the Great Archive, a cylindrical chamber storing centuries of data. Rows of data cores lined the walls, humming softly, while an overhead mechanism glided along rails, retrieving information modules as commanded. The archivist on duty, a wizened android with tarnished plating, greeted them with mechanical courtesy, scanning their credentials before granting access. Aria explained that she sought any references to the earliest contact attempts between humanity and the Serisi, or anything preceding the official records. Rumored contact from millennia prior. The archivist's optical sensors blinked, and with a whir, it vanished behind the rows of shimmering cores. Moments later, it returned, bearing a glimmering data sphere. They found a secluded console and inserted the sphere. Holographic screens fanned out, flickering to life with ancient text, partial star maps, and cryptic references in archaic languages. There, they discovered mentions of an old prophecy, something called the convergence, a theory stating that human and Serisi evolution had been nudged by an extraterrestrial influence. The text described a life force synergy that, if united, could awaken a hidden power dormant in both species. One passage read, "When the star-bowed station witnesses betrayal of life, a binding essence shall cross boundaries, forging anew the cosmic design. Through union of souls shall knowledge long lost be reclaimed, and the path forward be made clear." Aria and Jorel exchanged uneasy glances, their hearts pounding as they realized the text closely mirrored their own experiences. It spoke of an assassination attempt, a near-death bond, and the inevitable unraveling of ancient conspiracies. Astonishment coursed through Aria's veins. Was it possible that she and Jorel had unwittingly fulfilled a prophecy older than either civilization realized? Jorel's mind raced. The taboo about sharing life force was not merely a cultural boundary. It seemed to have roots in a deeper cosmic caution, as if certain powers did not wish for humanity and the Serisi to rediscover the synergy that could shape destinies. They read further, gleaning fragments of star charts that pointed to a deserted system known in Serisi legends as the Cradle of Echoes, a location rumored to be where their ancestors first received knowledge from the Watchers, those luminous beings from beyond. The text claimed that if humans and Serisi ever formed the life force bond, they would be drawn to that system, compelled to unlock secrets entwined with their very genes. Aria felt a growing sense of excitement, mixed with dread, for she realized how dire the stakes were. If they ventured there, they might uncover knowledge that could transform galaxies, or, perhaps, unravel them. But standing in the shadows of that quiet archive, Aria and Jorel also realized how precarious their situation was. With tensions high after the assassination attempt, a radical faction lurking in the station's corridors, and official negotiations on the verge of collapse, their every move was suspect. Who could they trust? They wondered if the conspirators sought not only to sabotage the summit, but also to prevent the revelation of this ancient bond, thereby maintaining some hidden agenda of control. If so, then the safest route forward might be to act swiftly, to quietly slip away and follow the clues leading them to the Cradle of Echoes. They prepared discreetly, under the guise of transferring for additional medical care on a nearby outpost. Aria and Jorel made arrangements to depart Crescent Station aboard a modest, unmarked shuttle. A small handful of trusted companions, Serisi aides, loyal to Jorel, and a few human security officers loyal to Aria agreed to accompany them, for they sensed the gravity of their quest. One evening, the group quietly boarded the shuttle, bracing themselves for a journey into uncertain territory. No sooner had they cleared Crescent Station's docking bay than an alert signaled them that an unidentified craft was following at a calculated distance. Aria's security officer, Lieutenant Eric McRae, swore under his breath. Their shuttle was a standard diplomatic vessel, lacking heavy armaments. The shadowy pursuers gave no hail, nor did they openly attack, instead, trailing them through the glimmering cosmic lane. Waiting for an opportune moment, within the cockpit, Jorel and Aria exchanged resolute glances. They had expected pursuit, for the conspirators would hardly watch them vanish without a chase. The pilot accelerated, weaving a complex path around stray asteroids, hoping to shake the tail. But the unknown craft followed with uncanny precision, unyielding as an eclipse. Time elongated, tension thick as the vacuum around them, until a beep on the console indicated incoming fire. A volley of plasma bursts whizzed by, searing bright streaks across the darkness of space. The pilot's knuckles turned white as he maneuvered desperately. Return fire was meager, for the shuttle's defensive capabilities were minimal. It became a frantic chase. The thrusters pushed to their limits. As the pursuing craft gained on them, the pilot was forced to attempt a blind quantum jump. The risk of miscalculating coordinates into uncharted space was high, but the alternative meant near certain capture or destruction. Aria pressed her lips together and gave the nod. The pilot engaged the quantum drive. A shimmering distortion enveloped the shuttle, warping the stars momentarily into streaks of brilliant color. Then, with a burst of energy, they vanished. They emerged in a star system whose coordinates roughly matched the ancient references in the data sphere, hopefully near the outskirts of the Cradle of Echoes. The twin suns of Crescent Station were now light years away, replaced by a murky gold sun that glowed like a dying ember. An eerie hush fell over the crew as they took in the view screen, revealing a scattering of planets, their surfaces pockmarked and lonely. The sensors indicated minimal traces of technology or transmissions, as though this star system lay abandoned for millennia. Guided by the partial star map from the old texts, Jorel identified a particular coordinate cluster, and the shuttle proceeded deeper into the system. One planet in orbit near the center gave off curious readings of faint energy signatures, almost like echoes of an ancient presence. They decided to land. The atmosphere was harsh, but just within tolerable range. So they donned environment suits and brought portable scanning devices, stepping onto a rocky terrain shaped by centuries of harsh winds. Towering spires of metallic stone spiraled toward the murky sky, and swirling dust devils danced across the desolate plains. The only sounds were the rasp of their suits' respirators and the soft crunch of dust beneath their boots. Further in, scanning revealed partial structures buried beneath eroded layers of sediment. The group began excavating carefully, unearthing the edges of grand archways carved with intricate symbols that matched Serisi script intermingled with an older, unknown language. One archway led into what appeared to be a subterranean complex. With cautious steps, they descended into corridors of smooth stone, the walls etched with swirling patterns reminiscent of star systems. A hush of awe stilled their voices. Their portable lights revealed chamber after chamber, each containing battered relics and cryptic murals. At the heart of the maze lay a central hall, capped by a domed ceiling that displayed an interwoven constellation pattern. In the center stood a monolithic device, a column of obsidian-like material, inscribed with swirling script. Jorel felt an invisible tug toward it, and Aria's heart raced as the thrumming in her chest. That bond with Jorel flared more intensely. She approached the device, feeling energy pulses that resonated with the life force coursing through her veins. Jorel, too, felt it, an urgent call. When they placed their hands upon the column simultaneously, a gentle surge of light spread across the inscriptions, illuminating the room in silvery arcs. Ancient mechanisms clicked and whirred to life. The ceiling's patterns sparkled, revealing star systems with lines connecting them like threads on a grand tapestry. An instant later, a beam of light poured from the column, enveloping Aria and Jorel. In a state that defied all rational thought, they experienced vivid visions of countless civilizations across galaxies, of watchers shaping life, of humans and Serisi sharing a single luminous root in the cosmic garden. Their bond pulsed, weaving them into a tapestry of existence far older and vaster than any single race. They both sensed a guiding presence, an ancient intelligence that recognized their union as the key to reawakening lost truths. The visions subsided, leaving Aria and Jorel trembling, tears glimmering on Aria's cheeks, while Jorel's silvery skin rippled with raw emotion. The others watched in silent wonder. Then the device projected a set of star coordinates onto the chamber floor, presumably leading to another site, perhaps on a different planet within the same star system or beyond. Just as they steadied themselves, a distant explosion shook the subterranean halls, dust raining from the ceiling. Lieutenant McRae's communicator crackled with urgent chatter from the shuttle. The conspirators had followed them, bypassing the quantum drive interference somehow. and were bombing the surface to trap them within. The fragile structure could collapse at any moment. Scrambling to leave the chamber, they dashed down corridors battered by tremors. Their time underground was cut short by the assault, but even as they fled, Aria and Jorel carried within them the visions and the knowledge gleaned from the device. Somewhere in this star system, or possibly in coordinates beyond, lay the final puzzle piece that would reveal the cosmic design linking humans and Serisi. The knowledge that might end the cycle of distrust and manipulation orchestrated by hidden powers who thrived on fear, if only they could evade capture long enough to enact the promise shining so brightly in their hearts. Reaching the surface, they found a scene of chaos. The conspirators' dropships soared overhead, launching beams of destructive energy across the desert landscape, targeting the ancient ruins. The blasts shattered rock spires, sending debris tumbling in clouds of dust. One of the beams struck near the group, flinging them to the ground in a spray of sparks. Aria's suit flashed alarms, her oxygen line damaged, but she pressed on. Jorel pulled her upright. The two connected by more than just physical hands. They ran toward the shuttle, joined by their small band of allies, who fired back at the attackers with portable rifles, hoping to buy enough time to escape. Amid the swirling haze of sand, dust, and flaming wreckage, they finally scrambled up the loading ramp. The pilot gunned the engines, lifting off in a violent burst. The conspirators' ships pursued, but the shuttle's thrusters still had residual charge in the quantum drive. With a final desperate move, they initiated another jump, leaving the battered planet behind. For a fleeting moment, Aria watched through the viewport as the surface exploded in bright plumes, burying the ancient site in rubble. She felt a pang of sorrow but also fierce determination. The knowledge they gleaned would not be lost. They emerged back near Crescent Station's region, though not at the station itself, to avoid immediate detection, rendezvousing with loyal forces from both the human and Serisi sides. They relayed all they had discovered, verifying ancient passages, star charts, and evidence of infiltration by extremist groups orchestrating sabotage. Word spread through quiet channels, reaching influential Serisi elders and key human leaders. The datasphere records, combined with the newly uncovered star maps, exposed the scale of the conspiracy. It stretched far beyond a handful of rogue agents, rather. It was a coordinated endeavor across multiple systems, its roots tracing back centuries to factions that thrived on division, capitalizing on fear to maintain clandestine power. Leaders who had once been skeptical began to see the bigger picture. The bond between Aria and Jorel, once a taboo, now appeared to fulfill a cosmic destiny. Despite the immediate diplomatic meltdown after the summit attack, calls for a second, more secure meeting circulated. This time at a safer location, old secrets had become new truths. Even those who might not believe in prophecies recognized that the toxic attempt on Crescent Station and the extraordinary Lifeforce synergy that saved a human and a Serisi simultaneously pointed toward deeper connections between the two species. A meeting was arranged aboard a fortified human dreadnought, the Horizon Vanguard, chosen for its robust security and capacity to host large delegations. Representatives from both species mustered their courage, willing to explore the startling revelations. Aria and Jorel became the emblem of this new era, their presence on the dais, heartbeats resonating in unison with an unspoken cosmic chord, influenced the delegates. Even the normally rigid Dr. Penrose, who had been shaken by the events on Crescent Station, now studied them with reluctant admiration. The Serisi elder, the same who once scorned the notion of sharing Lifeforce with an outsider, arrived cloaked in humility, his eyes reflecting a flicker of awe as he witnessed Jorel's unwavering devotion to the path now set before him. Secure beneath layers of defensive systems, the new summit proceeded. Though tension still crackled in the air, Aria and Jorel presented the datasphere evidence. The star charts gleaned from the subterranean device, and the living proof of their shared bond. They described the near-death experience in the rotunda, how the hidden energy within Jorel had preserved Aria's life, and how both had felt an ancient presence guiding them. Holographic displays illustrated the possibility that humans and the Serisi had been genetically uplifted millennia ago by a common source, thus explaining the subtle similarities in their physiologies and neural structures. The taboo of bonding had likely been introduced by those who feared the synergy's potential to unify the species in ways that would end any manipulative agendas. As the day stretched long, with questions, heated exchanges, and carefully considered remarks, something in the hall shifted. Suspicion gave way to wonder. Wounds caused by the assassination attempt remained fresh, but so too did the memory of how Lifeforce synergy had overcome that evil. Talk turned to forging deeper cooperation. New protocols for security, technology exchange, and combined scientific research were drafted. Serisi meditative practitioners offered to teach humans how to harness subtle energies, while the humans pledged to share quantum engineering techniques that might stabilize Serisi planetary outposts. Agreements shaped the foundation for an unprecedented alliance, and somewhere within the throng of delegates, a powerful sense of hope blossomed. But the threat of conspirators still loomed. As the final day of the summit approached, an alarm blared through the corridors of the Horizon Vanguard. A swarm of stealth ships, presumably belonging to the extremist faction, had dropped out of faster-than-light transit, bombarding the dreadnought's shielding with high-powered disruptor beams. All at once, the delegates found themselves under siege. The Vanguard's cannons roared to life, returning fire, but the stealth ships darted in coordinated strikes, targeting critical systems. If they succeeded, they would annihilate both human and Serisi leadership in one brutal stroke, plunging the galaxy into chaos. In the command center, Aria and Jorel were present when the calls for assistance rang out. Allied ships scrambled, but they were scattered across multiple sectors, having not anticipated such a bold, direct attack. The dreadnought's defensive batteries flared in a dazzling light show, but it was clear that the stealth ships were surgically striking the vessel's weaker points. Guided by inside knowledge, something had to be done, or the Vanguard would soon be crippled, leaving the delegates helpless. In that tense standstill, a surprising development arose. Aria felt a tingling surge within her chest, the Lifeforce bond with Jorel flaring like an awakened star. Her mind opened to a sense of Jorel's presence, his thoughts, and an awareness that radiated outward. Suddenly, she perceived the positions of the attacking ships, not through sensor data, but in her mind's eye, as if guided by an invisible cosmic vantage. Jorel, too, felt that he recognized the patterns of motion, the intangible signals of their energy signatures. They realized that by merging their concentration, they could broadcast interference waves through the dreadnought's sensor arrays, effectively revealing the stealth ship's cloaking patterns and guiding the defender's aim. Though it sounded impossible, the bond's synergy and the advanced knowledge gleaned from the ancient ruin resonating energies and the capacity to manipulate certain subspace fields converged into a single, desperate hope. They asked the dreadnought's captain for a chance to try. Driven by the dire situation, the captain complied. In the Vanguard's strategic center, Aria stood at one console, Jorel at another. They locked eyes, focusing on the life force that connected them. Soft pulses of energy emanated from them, interfacing with the dreadnought systems through a specialized neural link. The synergy of human technology and Serisi spiritual technique wove into a single effort. Slowly, the ship's sensors, augmented by this new form of subspace resonance, began to pinpoint the stealth craft, highlighting them on the tactical map. Turrets and fighter squadrons zeroed in on those coordinates with lethal precision, scoring direct hits, one by one. The enemy ships flared in bursts of fire and debris, while the Allied ships regained the advantage. The conspirators, realizing their cloak had been pierced, retreated. Some were destroyed before they could escape. Others vanished into faster-than-light jumps, presumably to fight another day. But the immediate threat was contained. Relief spread through the corridors as the Vanguard stabilized. Emergency repairs commenced, while delegates, shaken but unscathed, breathed sighs of gratitude. Word of how Aria and Jorel had combined forces, bridging the gap between their species in the heat of battle, spread swiftly, further cementing the new alliance. The horror of the assault had proven the power of their union and the folly of division. In the ensuing days, human and Serisi leadership finalized their agreements. The hidden enemies, though not fully extinguished, had been dealt a blow that exposed their infiltration and forced them into retreat. Investigations continued, leading to the arrest of key conspirators and the unraveling of clandestine networks. And at the heart of it all stood Aria Lane and Jorel, now regarded as symbols of hope, unity, and a destiny stretching back to the ancient Watchers. Formal ceremonies were held, forging the earliest terms of a grand interstellar alliance that would prioritize joint exploration, shared scientific endeavors, and the unveiling of humankind and Serisi's intertwined heritage. Yet, while official processes moved forward, an even deeper transformation was underway. Aria and Jorel's Lifeforce bond, once an act of desperate salvation, had grown into something more profound. They found themselves able to sense each other's emotions across any distance. When one experienced joy, the other felt a corresponding brightness in their own heart. When one felt fear, the other could provide immediate reassurance, quelling the dread. Subtle changes also manifested in Aria's physiology, such that her cells appeared to heal faster. And in Jorel's perspective, as he found himself able to empathize with humans in ways he had never done before, news of their unusual connection spread among both species, sparking debates, fascination, and sometimes apprehension. Could it be replicated? Would it usher in an era of empathy or present ethical dilemmas? The leaders decided to move carefully. For the time being, Aria and Jorel stood as pioneers of a new stage in their people's evolution, both revered and studied, though they were not to be caged or exploited. They agreed to embark on a series of expeditions to other systems, guided by the star charts gleaned from the ancient archives, to further uncover the hidden tapestry of knowledge left behind by the Watchers. Finally, one bright day, under the luminous glow of twin suns, for they had returned to Crescent Station, now ringed by allied ships instead of lurking threats, the official signing of the alliance took place. The Grand Rotunda, once the scene of terror, was now filled with renewed life. Delegates stood side by side, humans in formal suits, Serisi in flowing robes, each species respecting the other's customs. Cheers erupted as the final stroke of the pen concluded the new treaty, forging a partnership that promised lasting peace and shared progress. Aria felt her chest tighten with emotion as she glanced at Jorel, who caught her eye from across the dais. She sensed an echo of his gratitude, a warmth that ignited her own heart. Though much work remained, reconstruction of trust, the continued hunt for scattered extremists, the ongoing revelations of ancient cosmic secrets, there was, at last, a spark of true harmony. When the applause subsided, Jorel stepped forward to address the assembly. His voice, resonant and calm, commanded attention. "We stand," he said, "on the precipice of a new epoch, one not forged by force, but by the synergy of our life forces, by the realization that what binds us is greater than what divides us. We honor those lost in the attempts to subvert this future, and we vow to ensure that their sacrifice is not in vain. Let this union be the living testament to all that we can achieve when hope conquers fear." Aria joined him, turning to the delegates. "We have seen the worst that fear and hatred can do," she spoke, her voice trembling with passion. "But we've also seen the power of unity, not just in words, but in our very biology, our very spirits. The Watchers may have planted the seeds of our shared destiny, but it is we who must nurture it. For the sake of generations to come, let us move forward, hand in hand, heart in heart, and shape a future worthy of both our peoples." Thunderous applause filled the rotunda. The alliance was sealed, and the conspirators, though not wholly defeated, had failed in their most dangerous mission. Over the following months, Fleets from both species traveled to new frontiers, collaborating on projects that ranged from terraforming uninhabitable worlds to establishing cultural exchange academies. Scientists marveled at the synergy potentials discovered in Aria and Jorel, gleaning new insights into life's energy fields that could revolutionize medicine. Serisi mystics and human engineers worked hand in hand, forging technologies that seemed to hover between magic and science. Meanwhile, Aria and Jorel embarked on further journeys, returning to the coordinates left by the ancient device. Now more prepared and accompanied by official research teams, they uncovered additional ruins that validated the notion that humans and Serisi had been guided millennia ago. Together, they pieced together fragments of a grand cosmic puzzle, a destiny that might well extend beyond their own species, perhaps linking many life forms across the galaxy in an interconnected web. Always they felt drawn onward, exploring, learning, revealing truths that had slumbered since the dawn of civilization. And so, in the end, what began with an assassination attempt and a desperate act of forbidden life force sharing brought about the dawn of a new era. Crescent Station stood not as a monument to tragedy, but as a beacon of hope. The conspirators who sought war had underestimated the power of unity, and the hidden life force that Jorel imparted to Aria transcended taboo, ensuring survival at the hour of greatest need. At each new discovery, humans and Serisi looked upon one another with a profound sense of kinship, inspired by the knowledge that they were more alike than different, bound by ancient cosmic threads that defied the boundaries of time and space. In the luminous warmth of twin suns, on that final ceremonial day, Aria Lane and Jorel stood together, reflecting on how far they had come. The station's arboretum, once a quiet refuge for their tentative introductions, now flourished with exotic blooms from both worlds, a living testament to the blending of cultures. They walked among the shimmering foliage, softly trailing their fingers along the leaves that captured the sapphire glow. Aria turned to Jorel, who gently smiled, his silver skin radiant. She felt his steadiness, his reassuring presence reverberating in her mind, and she knew that whatever challenges the future brought, they would face them as one. Amid the murmuring leaves, they paused at a small fountain, the water reflecting swirling star patterns. Their bond vibrated with an undercurrent of contentment. Jorel spoke in a quiet tone. "The Watchers shaped our paths, but we shaped the future," he said, leaning close. Aria nodded. "Together," she replied, "we will move forward, and the worlds will change for the better." In that moment, hope prevailed over the darkness that had threatened to engulf them. The conspirators' weapons, the toxins, the subterfuge, all had been rendered powerless before the depth of their unity. A new chapter dawned across the galaxies, guided by an alliance sealed in courage and propelled by a bond that defied all odds. And at the heart of it, two souls, one human, one Serisi, beat in unison with a shared destiny, forging a cosmic kinship that transcended species, lifetimes, and the very fabric of existence itself.